Whoa! See, my staff got it all wrong. They said there'd be 300 people here. There are about 800 people. Thank you all very much, Iowa City. And I want to tell you why I have absolute confidence that we're going to win here in Iowa. That we are going to win the Democratic nomination. And that we are going together to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country. And I want to tell you why that is going to happen. Just yesterday or today, we announced the kind of financial support we received from our campaign. And I want you to hear this because this is unprecedented to the best of my knowledge. In the last 3 months, we received 1 million individual contributions. $1 million individual contributions, 99% of them were for $100 or less. The profession that contributed most to our campaign was not Wall Street speculators, not the owners of the fossil fuel industry, but the teachers of America. Thank you, teachers. And the other professions that contributed in large numbers were nurses and students. And here is something that really humbles me, and it moves me. The single largest employer who we received donations from, that's right, Walmart. I am enormously proud and humbled to receive so much support from the working class of this country. Now, what workers all across America understand is that the economy today is doing really good for the people on top, not so good for ordinary Americans. I want to bore you for a moment with some interesting statistics. Here they are. Last year, you'll be happy to know that the 5 major Wall Street banks made $111 billion in profit. At the same time as over 500,000 Americans are sleeping out on the streets of this country tonight. Last year, the top 10 drug companies who are ripping off the American people right and left, charging us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, top 10 companies made $69 billion in profits.
Right? That's what he talked about. And then what did he do? He stacked the deck for the wealthy by delivering a tax cut that inordinately makes them richer. He stacked the government full of lobbyists and industry executives to dole out special interests and special favors, right? So how do you beat phony Bernie Sanders on economic issues? You deliver real Bernie Sanders.
What I believe, and I think most of you know, is that whether it's in our own personal lives or in the political life of the nation, if we do not confront reality and the truth, and if we simply push problems underneath the table, they are not going to be addressed, they are not going to be resolved, and that is the cowardly thing to do. All right? What are the truths? All right, let's talk about them. For a start, no, that is exactly not the truth. The truth is you, not me. And if there is any person here thinks that I'm coming to you as some kind of savior, that I'm going to do it all myself, you're wrong. No president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do it alone. We don't need a savior. We need a political movement when millions of people... The only way that real change ever takes place is when millions of people stand up and fight back. That's what this campaign is about.
Because this is the year that you do what others cannot, what others will not, to achieve what others have not. Empower authority back to the people and convince them to accept it. We are more ready than you can imagine.
No president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can transform America and make our government start working for working people unless we have a political revolution.
It's time for something radically different.
Yeah, I'd like him to shake some shit up. What we're doing right now is not working. Let's do something different, please.
For the last 3.5 months, we have been in this race. And my God, what we have seen, not only in Iowa and New Hampshire, but all of the enthusiasm all over this country has been mind-blowing.
If we stand together, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much for going out there in the dark of the night, basically, and working to make it better for people like me, and my children, and my friends, and my neighbors.
In our democracy, in this election, the thing that needs to change is not the candidate, but how we create the candidate. Isn't the question, how do we create a new model?
Joe Biden.
First, I just want to get your reaction to what we're hearing from Biden today, talking about race, including an apology.
You know, my dear Sister Anna, it just strikes me as the typical behavior of the establishment politician. He's now regretted what he said. He now apologizes 2 weeks later. 2 weeks ago, he said he wouldn't apologize. You said, oh, I see. You check the polls and find out where you really stand. He's changed a lot in 2 weeks, not just changed a lot in 40 years. He's also eulogized Strom Thurmond and talked about his truth and his genius. We can go on and on and on. This is a matter of the record. He has a contextual ethics. My dear brother Bernie Sanders has a consistent ethics. At the very moment in which Biden's working with Jesse Helms on this amendment to make sure there's no state-sponsored busing to desegregate schools, Bernie Sanders is getting arrested with Martin King and the others fighting for not just integration, but for busing as well. So the problem is that you and I know, we live in the political age of Bernie Sanders. Everybody's got to talk about medical care for all. Everybody's got to talk about $15 for a living wage. Everybody's got to talk about what are you going to do with student debt. Bernie wants to eliminate it. We've come now to the context in which Bernie Sanders is setting the tone and the terms of the debate. It's just a matter now of acknowledging the establishment in the Democratic Party is unraveling. When you look at the Bernie Sanders campaign, what do you see? Major contributors, Walmart workers, major contributors, teachers, Biden, Harris, Buttigieg, major contributors, elites, those at the top. It's a very different orientation. We are witnessing the awakening of poor and working people of all colors coming together in solidarity to save this democracy, given the political pathology at work in the White House.
Let me ask you about Senator Kamala Harris and some comments and plans she put forward today. She is proposing a $100 billion plan to help African-American homeowners. It would provide grants of up to $25,000 to help cover down payments and closing costs for homeowners in redline communities. It would better enforce anti-discrimination laws. It would increase funding for a program that helps first-time home buyers. Her goal is to close the U.S. racial wealth gap. Is this something you want to see Sanders get behind, or does he have a better first step?
No, I think he actually has a much better first step, because you're going to have to come to terms with the grotesque wealth inequality. You're going to have to come to terms with Wall Street greed. You're going to have to come to terms with the 1% owning 90% of the wealth and 3 individuals owning 50% of the 3 individuals having wealth equivalent to the 50% population in the United States. So that we welcome, Senator and Sister Harris's movement in this regard. But even Sister Harris, we have to be very honest about this. When you're criminalizing parents whose children are truant, when you're opting for prisoners remaining incarcerated rather than release because you want to use them for cheap labor. This is when she's top cop. This is when she's prosecutor in California. You can't come along lately and sound progressive. You got to be consistently progressive, the way Brother Bernie Sanders has been for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. This is not just a circus for progressive gestures. This is a life lived and a politics connected to bearing witness.
So Cornel West just completely nails it.